Hi, this is Anna Imagination with a Healing Garden, and we are going to talk about the culture of the healing garden and Triadic healing. It is a very different classroom than anything you have experienced because what we've done is we've revived the original classic Greek styled educational system. This is an educational system that's been absent from our culture, society, since 380 CE. There are 4 ways a person learns that Plato practiced, and the work of educator Edgar Dale with his The Learning Scope absolutely, well, supports this, but it's Plato, so more like Plato supports his work. Plato studied everything in such a way, or he delivered it in such a way that it was prerequisitional learning. Prerequisitional learning means that you have to lay a foundation before you can build the next layer. And that has to be a laid layer that's solid before you can build that layer. So every layer is both a foundation to the next layer, and it is also the cherry on top to the one prior to it. It is the integration of each one of these layers that is compounded learning. So what you're going to see with the work with Triadic healing is identical to what Plato did. It is both prerequisitional and it's integrated, so that every lesson is the foundation for the next lesson, and it's meant to be integrated. Going in order of operations, is vital, absolutely vital. If you are in the program and you are seeking to get the certification, the only way to get the certification is the prerequisitional order of operations program. And this is something we absolutely look for prior to certifying people. The reason why is because if you do this without the prerequisition, you are going to have gaps in the education, and it's going to completely change the meaning and comprehension of the future lessons. So it is absolutely dire that everything is learned in the right order of operations at the right time of learning. It is vital. Now, in addition to all of this, there is also the 4 types of learning. We first walk you through how to learn. So before we walk you through anything mental, anything on the studies or the education, we teach you how to learn. How to learn is a skill. It is a skill that if it is left unobstructed, then it's naturally embedded into our learning system. But our current system and the current educational system is designed to corrupt it, obstruct it, and get rid of it, which is why people don't learn today, is because they have interfered with nature's learning program. The Triadic healing is designed to restore it back to the way Mother Nature, physics, the natural order of law, and Plato originally designed. When Plato discovered this work alongside his fellow philosophers, he preserved it through the curriculum himself. So that if you just follow Plato's curriculum, which are the 12 ethics, which is Triadic healing, you follow the exact precise order of operations that Plato established 2,000 years ago. The 4 types of learning is theory. It's the laws of why something works, and it should be done very simply, very succinct, and very basic. It should not take that long. In addition to that, the other area of this is the application. It is vital that you understand that this is all in the doing. It is 100% in the doing. If you do not practice the skill, then you are not learning. Skill building and learning are identical. If you are not doing, you are not learning. This is application of technique. This is application of the skill in practice. The other part of all of this is discussion, something I love to refer to as exploratory dialogue. In the ancient Greek philosopher schools, what we saw was the amphitheater, where the philosopher would sit among other philosophers along with the students, and there would be a discussion. So there would be the lecture, which would be a very succinct and precise, this is how it's done and this is why. And then there would be the now go do it and apply the actual skill to real life, which is apprenticeman, tradesman, master, and then philosopher. And then there would be a follow-up discussion, exploratory dialogue, where people would sit around and discuss it. The discipulus, the student, would be the one to lead most of these conversations because they would come in with Q&A. All of these things are 100% absent from today's educational system. We're going to set that information off to the side. So we restore them here in Trident Healing. The videos that I provide are 100% the theory. This is where you're going to get all of the theory work. It's where I break down the why. It's where I break down exactly what is going on with the math, the logic, the physics. It's where I get into the history on a very, if the history applies. Most of it is just, this is what it is, this is the concept, and this is why. It's the theory. That way, when I say, go do these skills, and this is how to apply those skills in real life and how to look for them, what to look for. We're going to go over the dissection, and this is basically your skill application. So there's two parts to this. There is the actual theory, the video of the theory. There's going to be an area where I just talk on the skill technique, and then there's doing the skill. Now, there is nothing I can do for you doing the skill. This is you doing. I mean, this is the true, just do it. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to make plans. You're going to have to go outside, and you are going to have to do. There's just no other way around it. If you do not do it, if you do not practice the skill, then you are not going to learn it. Skill building is 100% well, we're going to get into it. So we're going to talk a lot about skill building, but it is very much if you don't use it, you lose it. 100%. It's not, there's just no debate. If you do not use it, you lose it. Now, because these are life skills, naturally practiced life skills, this is going to shape your mindset. It's going to change the way you think about the world. It's going to turn you into a master. It's going to make you so highly proficient in life that life becomes your little bitch. It's really fucking awesome. And it is powerful shit. And when there's going to be that point where you look at it and go, why the fuck did I not learn this in school? This is amazing shit. It's extraordinary. Now, in addition to all of that, then there is the exploratory dialogue. And that is where, for students only, they have the invitation to join me for Journey into the Self. Journey into the Self is the Healing Garden membership. I'm going to say again, it is only for Triadic Healing registered students. If you are not a registered student, you will not be getting this invitation. You have to be a registered student, and it is paid membership. This opens the door for a monthly discussion. It's going to start off monthly now. I'm not sure if I'm going to do more, but it's definitely a monthly discussion where we come together and you hit me with all the Q&A and all the discussion you have. If there is a friend, family member who is going through Triadic Healing with you, that is where I invite you to sit down and discuss with debate and cover that with them. Discuss it. The discussion is vital, absolutely vital to it. Now, we are also going to be talking about formal argument and debate. I'm going to be covering with you logic. I'm going to be covering with you the actual laws of formal argument and formal debate. And I'm going to be covering what abuse is and how abusive people use formal argument and debate to abuse people. And we're going to differentiate the difference very strongly between the two aspects. One is a discussion, and the other is an abusive barrage of somebody just screaming at you. There should be absolutely no raised voices in a proper formal argument and debate. That's your first clue. There should be an equal level of discussion, which is the 7th, 8th, and 9th ethic. At the 7th, 8th, and 9th ethic, we talk very much about equal footing. We talk about the give and take exchange. Now, in the lecture hall where I do the theory work, where I give you the Triadic Healing, I'm standing here and I'm sitting here, and I'm sitting here talking to you and exchanging with you. So it's all just me giving you data so you could understand the theory. But in the discussion hall, where we sit down, it is absolutely a back and forth give and take, where it's going to be honing in on particular questions you have and any kind of troubleshooting. The biggest thing really is make sure the skills apply to real life scenarios, which I've already cultivated those for. I've already honed them out, and I've already made sure that these are skills that you should be using on a day-to-day basis. This is really, really powerful shit. One of the things that I love to use as an example for this is in the field of exercise. There is walking on a treadmill. There is lifting weights. Now, if you are not actually sitting there lifting weights, if you are not actually sitting there running on a treadmill, then the exercising is not going to be done. This means that you are living life on this path, but you have to pause life to go to a gym to exercise. This makes it impractical. This is what practicality really is. In real life, it would be, instead of you taking your car to the grocery store, it would be you walking to the grocery store. It would be the difference between you choosing to carry a 50-pound bag as opposed to you lifting weights. One of them is practical, the other is not. It's looking for opportunity to apply them in real life situations rather than going out of your way, derailing life and pausing life to go do these skills. That is not productive. That is not at all compatible with the subconscious mind. And that is when learning is not going to happen. Learning happens when you implement it, when you integrate it right into your life via practical use. And when we get into the skill building section, we are really going to break this down. I'm going to be teaching you how to look for opportunities to use the skills so that you can apply them literally every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 20 minutes. You're going to be looking for opportunities to be courageous. You're going to be looking for opportunities to problem solve. You are going to be looking for opportunities to use mathematical projection or triangulation. You're going to be looking for these opportunities, which is an actual skill, is looking for opportunity. And because you're going to be practicing that skill, you're also going to be practicing all the other skills. It's quite an extraordinary chain event. You're going to see one thing that sparks like several consequences, and that one skill is going to set off like 4 or 5 different skills that, oh my God, when I went to do this, 4 other skills popped up. Yeah, so when I did this one skill, I was actually practicing 4 skills. And that's the genius of Play-Doh. That's why we do it this way. So we're going to be spending a lot of time on the skills. The discussion is available for you. And of course, the videos are the theory. Now, we also have the newsletter, which you already should be part of. And the newsletter is the 12 Ethical Challenge, where every day I send you something on the ethics. And we go through every week, we rotate through one of the ethics. And that is probably something I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, where I talk on each ethic every, like, it's going to be a continual thing, because they must be practiced on a regular basis consciously. Once you integrate the 12 ethics, holy shit, you're going to see your life really start to change. When you integrate all 12 ethics consciously, that is when your life completely alters and turns around. There are 2 things that I really want to hone in on, and that is the logic skill, and that is also the problem solving skill. Now, these 2 skills are absolutely vital to your success with this. They are crucial. We're going to be covering those real quickly, just far off, because the sooner you get the logic and the problem solving skill, by the way, logic is problem solving. So this is really redundant for me to be saying logic and problem solving, but okay. So when you are looking for logic and problem solving skills and implementing them into your life, that is where you are really going to see the changes happen drastically. Now, all of this is chain reaction science. So when you pull at one thread, the whole thing is going to frog. That's a real. So if you are not a knitter, if you are into knitting or crocheting, these are knitting, crocheting terms. Frogging means you pull a thread and the whole thing unravels. So when you start pulling at logic, problem solving, and communication, the consequence is your life ends up being frogged. You end up frogging your life. You end up frogging all of the lies. And as you frog it, the logic rug that you've woven literally drops all the lies out of it, and you start to see, oh, this is literally truth versus lie. So if you have big lies that are built up, they're going to become visible. If you have a lot of dishonesty of yourself coming out, oh, you're going to see it. If you have a massive delusion that's been built up, you're going to see it. This is absolutely vital that you understand this. And we give you the tools of grief. We give you the tools of problem solving to transfer you from the delusion over into stable truth. This is not my truth. I don't share that with people. I give you the tools of truth so you can figure that out for yourself. And I teach you how to do this. So as you apply these techniques, you're going to see all of the truth and the delusion falls down. The problem is, it's not a problem. It's going to be a problem for some people. People think that the problem is this big, and then they unravel it and they see how big the lie fabrication really is. And that's when they go, oh, holy shit, this thing is vast. Yes, you've been living in a fraction of the delusion. And when you start to pull and unravel, the whole thing is exposed and you start to see all of it. And that's just, we're going to cover that aspect of it. So we have triadic healing. We have the dealing with the grief, dealing with the, okay, you need to transfer. This is really important. This is really, really, really important. There are some people whose identity is defined by the delusion. So that when you start to unravel the delusion, your identity slips. And instead of transferring their identity over to truth or education, they cling to the delusion and they panic. We give you the tools and we warn you, which is what this video is warning you. If you have delusion, if you are not self-honest, you're going to find out. So if there is, and there's going to be several kinds of people. There's going to be people going, oh no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm absolutely honest. Great. If that's true, you're fine. If you're lying to yourself, then it's going to come out. If you are lying to yourself and you know it, no, those are the people who quit. Those are the people who just don't do it. And it's going to come down to how much do you love your lies? How much do you love the delusion? You're going to have to choose between the truth and your delusion. And if you're being honest, then you're fine. But this material is fucking strong. It is so strong that, you know, Aristotle, Socrates, Pythagoras, Plato, Christ mastered it. And they knew shit about truth. And when you start to pull away at that thread and you start to frog the delusion, you start to see just how bad it is, how vast it spreads out, and how far it goes. So we're going to go ahead and give you the tools to adjust to that transition, because that transition is coming. And the more you pull at this thread, the more you pull at it, the more it unravels, the more you're going to require to transition over to a solid truth. Now, we give you those tools as well. It is the defined self, your restored sense of self-authority, which is why it's so vital that you complete the second ethic prior to the unraveling, which is what we do. There's a reason why logic is at the 11th ethic and self-authority is at the second. It's because once you start pulling this, the whole thing starts to unravel. But by the time you get to the 11th, where you have logic, you will have a defined sense of self-authority. So that being said, I'm going to follow Mother Nature. And if she says you don't get logic until the 11th ethic, then I'm going to go with her and say you don't get logic until the 11th ethic because she says so. And I'm not going to question her. I don't know why, but that's not for me. That's for her. She tells me 11th ethic is logic, and I'm going, okay, that is when they're going to get logic lessons. So we're going to go ahead and save that for later. And I'm going to put a very solid, do the logic at your own risk. And I'll put the things in place for the people who want to jump ahead and get logic. Okay. But it's going to be a very strongly, Mother's Nature says you don't get this until 11th ethic. Let me think about this. See, I was solid at my self-authority. So I was fine. I never had a compromised self-authority. I knew I was me from like day one. So as long as you have a solid self-authority, you're fine. If you don't have a self-authority, that logic is going to completely break you down. But I had an existential crisis. You have your existential crisis, and that the only thing you've got to cling to is the self, because it's naked. It's very much you naked with matter. And you find out that you don't matter and that nothing matters. And well, that's the existential crisis. So Yeah, I'm gonna, like I said, this is all absolutely strategic. There's a whole lot of chain reaction science where we pull and it's a lot. It's highly strategic, and there's a whole lot of making sure that every little piece is logically in place to catch every little ripple, to make sure every little stone thrown is absolutely there to ensure the safety of every single ripple. Chain reaction science, it's a blast. So I think that covers everything. We covered the environment. Oh, and then we're going to be covering the Plato's point. Plato's point is there. That's also the thing. So we have Plato's point, which is already available. And then we also have the logic, the delusion. Yep, we have the delusion. And then we have self-authority. So those are really it. It's the delusion versus the truth, Plato's point, the curriculum. Okay, so we did cover everything. All right. So thank you so, so much. You are all set to go as far as getting started with Tragic Healing. 100% of these videos are located on YouTube. So they're just, on YouTube, they're just random and buried in all the chaos of my YouTube channel. Whereas with Tragic Healing, it is precise in organized fashion. And the beautiful thing about this is when it's the order of operations is the formula. You've got to do the order of operations for it to unlock. If you don't do the right order of operations, it doesn't unlock. Isn't Plato a genius? Plato and Mother Nature are just like my buddies. Love the both of them. All right. So thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.